Hello everyone, I'm going to be talking to you about the social media platform Twitter and the effects it has on you and why you should not be using it. In an article written by Kurt Wagner, he stated that he quoted the CEO of Twitter apologizing about the aggressive and abusive content that his platform had become known for. Now, obviously when a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company goes out of his way to talk about his company in a negative connotation, it's probably not that his company's having a good effect on society, and that we all should ourselves take a look at Twitter. Now, I've known none of my friends or family that have ever had a real positive experience from Twitter, and that it hasn't brought any real happiness to anyone's lives. I myself quit Twitter about a year ago and have noticed a great increase in my happiness and my mood and a lot more fulfillment in other aspects of my life. Now in my speech, I'm going to be going over the addiction people have to Twitter, the side effects of what can be caused by social media, all social media and Twitter included, and also by in talking about why you should give up Twitter. So let's get into what I mean by the addiction to Twitter. When I'm talking about addiction, most people think of drugs and other things that would usually will be way more serious, and it wouldn't affect your life as much. But in an article by Aram in 2018, he talks about all of this mental disorders that are caused by social media. Now, this is just an example of all of those disorders and what they will, when an increase in use of Twitter causes more of these in your life. Now, most people would think, wow, that's not a big deal. These are just people acting out, and obviously that's not the case because some people are clearly diagnosed with these, and some people, when trying to come out about these, don't feel safe about coming out about them on Twitter. Now, everybody knows that certain person that knows everything that's going on social media and the things that if you were to ask them about what's going on social media, they'd be able to tell you instantly. Now, this isn't always a good thing when you get down to it, because a lot of people have given up their lives, their daily livelihood on Twitter, like their jobs and other things like local relationships, just to entertain people on Twitter. Like, they usually are quoted saying, "I'll do anything for the likes." Now, that's not a big deal. Obviously, nobody really thinks about one person losing their job and giving up relationships with other people. It's not really a big deal in today's society. But when you get down to the real side effects of Twitter, the National Health Institute was quoted saying that the use of Twitter has had an increased pro-suicidal effect on most of the users on Twitter. Now, how is this? Over 50% of people on Twitter are reported to be more depressed and felt less wanted. Why is this? Because most people look at people on Twitter who are famous and follow their lives and see what they don't have and what they don't get. Now, this kind of gives you a lack of fulfillment, and then the people with opinions that like to share their opinions in the world sometimes have the whole entire world coming down on them just for sharing them. There is no equality on Twitter, and usually it is either a wave of hate or racism that is spread amongst almost everyone around it. You aren't going to find a single person who feels safe sharing their opinion there because of what they will get in reaction to it. Death, sexual harassment, racism, and even hate speech are found on Twitter daily, like tweets like this one, where this person clearly had no real intent of giving any positive connotation to their message, and there was no outcome out of this other than this person telling you that they were going to Africa. This helps no one, and not always is this met with a negative response. Sometimes people will read these things and support them. This is obviously something you don't want your kids knowing, seeing, or anything about that, especially when you are trying to help them develop properly. Now, when we go into why you shouldn't actually be using Twitter, if those points aren't enough, then we get into an article by Aaron, not Kurt. There's an article that is written and talks about productivity that will change. The people who use Twitter have been known to be much less productive. Now, for example, the average person uses Twitter 2.5 hours a day, or social media like that. Now, when compared to the 6.5 hours a day people are quoted to be productive a day, that doesn't seem like it should be about a similar amount to what you're looking at. But if you look at this picture, you see that 9 years of your the average person's whole entire life is spent on social networks. This is obviously a big deal because you only spend 10.5 of your years working. Now, why does social media affect you so much? Well, it's about 10% of your life, if not more, for the average person. It's kind of a big deal, and when you're going into productivity, most family members are going to tell you to get off your phone, not because of the bad parts about it, but the fact that you're not helping around the house or not doing the chores. Businesses have banned phones from being used at work, and schools do not allow phones within their grounds. This isn't because people are calling and texting, it's because people are sitting on their social networks and talking about things they shouldn't be. It's distracting and obviously is against productivity in the long run. Now, my speech has told you about the addiction to social media, the reasons, well, the impacts social media has on you, and also why you shouldn't use social media. I hope that you will either get rid of Twitter or reduce your use all around, but if these points weren't enough, I know that a bunch of people who have given up Twitter have had a very positive impact on their lives since then. Thank you for listening to the speech.